Godly energy. You are listening to Hope 103.1 FM Grenada.
Hey, you can't touch me. Lucifer, you can't touch me. Furthermore, take your filthy hands off me, family. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. Warfare time, when you're under the blood, them demons will shake and tremble. Satan is a old dirty thief, so we mash up your plans with only one sprinkle. If you're feeling pain, the blood of Jesus break every chain and remove all sin. Declare this again and again. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. When the Vicks and the bush can't fix this, the blood of Jesus remove all sickness, all asthma and all arthritis. In the name of Jesus we bind it. Jesus is the answer. The blood of Jesus beat out the cancer. Break every chain and remove all stain. Declare this again and again. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. When we plead the blood, principalities get trampled. When we plead the blood, generation curse get dismantled. So cover your children and them, your unsafe family members and them. Christ died on the cross for all of them, so start praying for them. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning.
Blessings, and good evening to all those of you locked on to 103.1 FM. We are here and back again for another discussion. We are your hosts, Lady Sabi and Donna, and she's on. And if you recognize in the background right next to me, there's a handsome gentleman, my husband. All right, he's right here with us. This afternoon, we are going to be discussing an interesting topic that we started about 2 weeks ago. All right, and we're going to introduce our guests in just a bit. But as always, we like to start the thing right, so we're going to start with prayer. All right, and we want our special guest to pray for us this afternoon, seeing that he has graced us with his presence.
Let's pray. Father, today we give you thanks and we give you praise. We worship your awesome name, God. There is none like you. We thank you for another opportunity, O God, to come before you and fellowship, O God, to do another session, O God, with your people. We ask that the Holy Spirit, O God, will even come now and take control, take charge, God. We yield ourselves to you. Pray, God, that we become your vessels, and we ask you to be glorified in our lives. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen. Amen. So guys, don't forget, this is Team Family on a Sunday evening here on Hope FM, 103.1 FM. And as always, don't forget what Team Family is all about. So our TEAM acronym stands for Together We Educate, Affirm, and Motivate Families. So that's what we're up to this afternoon. We are together. This is what we're doing together, educating, we're affirming, and we're motivating families. And today we're going to be focusing on one particular member of our family, men. All right. But that doesn't mean that this information that we're about to share is not also important for our ladies. All right. So it's just as important for our ladies because we want our ladies to become involved. All right. Remember, it's a team effort. All right. So joining us again this afternoon He joined us maybe I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and it was such an interesting discussion. We couldn't finish, so he had to come back on so we can finish up. So help me welcome Mr. Arthur Pear uh, as he comes to finish up our discussion from the last time. Good afternoon, Mr. Pear.
Hi.
All right, you need to unmute your mic. We're not hearing you at all. All right, I hope you find that unmute button very soon. All right.
Great. Good afternoon, folks.
Okay, great.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
It's
Good
great to
Good
see you
afternoon,
again.
ladies, and the
Yes.
gentleman in the back. Good afternoon,
Yes.
sir.
Afternoon,
Long time I
boss.
see. Long time I see you, man.
Don't make them know we know each other, no man.
Ah!
Like, keep it
I agree. Okay, great.
but I'm doing fine. Good to see you
Great,
again, man.
Yeah. It's good.
My brother.
Good to be here, and good afternoon to all the listeners and those locked in. Good evening.
Oh, yes.
Welcome again.
Welcome.
Okay,
It's
thank
such a
you. Thank
blessing to
you.
have you.
It is an honor to be here.
Oh, yes. And we count it a blessing to have you again. And maybe for those who were not preview to the last program that we had with you, maybe you can introduce yourself again, give just a short something on yourself of who you are
Okay.
and what you do so people can have an idea.
All right. So my name is Arthur Pear. I'm Christian. I'm married with 4 children. I have been around the block for a number of years. I have been a teacher for 12 years, drug
Yes.
control for 8 years, HIV/AIDS coordinator. I currently still hold that position within the realms of the public service, but I am now attached to the National Disaster Management Agency. All right. I have been a facilitator for a program at the Legal Aid and Counseling Clinic called Man to Man, or Partnership for Peace, and that deals with gender-based violence. And I facilitate that program that would have men who would have been the perpetrators of domestic violence come and do 16 weeks of psychoeducational training to rehabilitate them as it relates to the issues of gender-based violence. And that I have done that from since 2007 to present.
Okay. All right. So just so our viewers and our listeners know, he's well qualified for what we're going to do this afternoon. He knows a lot about men issues, and that's what we're discussing today. You know, the last time you were on, we spoke a lot about, psychological issues, things that happen to men. And we really wanted to dive into the meat of men issues in terms of health issues. We didn't get to talk so much about that. So we just give you the flow to, we're going to ask questions as we go along and
Yes, please ask your questions.
Yes.
That's the way that I'm able to
Yes.
pull
But we-
things.
Right.
Yes.
But we want to kind of continue from where we left off. So we spoke about things that men have to go through in terms of, we think that it's ladies are the only ones that should be crying, and they are the only emotional ones, and they're the ones that, go through things. But we spoke the last time about, men go through things as well, and it's okay, to go through things and to be able to open up, and men need, support groups and all of that. Today, I want to go a little bit more into the health issues of men and what men have to go through. So maybe you can give us, some knowledge on that in regards. We talk more about the over 40 and so, but you can still feel free to share with us issues that men may have in growing up and so, health issues and going into the 40s and over 40.
Okay. One of the things that, well, first of all, I'm not a physician. I'm not.
Yes, we know that. That's okay.
A very good friend of mine
Yes.
is a doctor, and we have been working for a number of years
Yes.
with men's health issues.
Right.
Okay. And that will be in the person of Dr. Francis Martin. He is a serious advocate for men's health. But the issue of men's health actually begins in childhood.
Right.
Okay. When we look at how we raise our children in this modern era, we look at how we introduce foods to our children, especially our boys.
Right.
Um, a child could survive on a mother's breast milk for a number of years, right? Even though you don't give him any kind of solid food, trust me, he would look good, robust, nice, and fat. I have children, so I know,
Yes.
right? But as they begin to teeth, as they begin to grow teeth and all of that, sometimes we introduce them to sweets and
Right.
to salt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a lot of the I hate to see young children can't even walk yet, having given sweets and given
Yes.
salt.
Yes.
When we introduce them to those kinds of foods,
Mm-hmm.
you're basically shaping the tastes
Mm-hmm.
going forward. So they would require that as part of the food package.
Right.
If you could introduce them to the fruits that we have a lot of fruits around. I love guava and golden apples. I love that.
I know when last I
And
see guava tree, boy.
yes, sir. We have
I loved it growing up too.
a sister in church who brought some guavas to church this morning, and trust me, I fixed myself. Right? But we have to introduce them to fresh fruits.
Right.
We live in a tropical country that have a vast array of fruits, and what instead of buying um, processed foods and preserved foods, we need to be able to introduce our children to fresh fruits. Give them that at an early age. Instead of packing the sweet biscuits and the corn curls and all of those things in their lunch kit, give them some fresh fruits. We could also introduce them to vegetables.
Right.
Right? I have a daughter who loves vegetables, and from since she could walk, she started to eat carrots and things like that. Right?
Yes.
She eat onion and garlic and things to her, but we ain't going there. Right? but we have to introduce them to those things. Now, when we introduce our young boys to things like salt and sweets, that is what they would gravitate to going forward. And of course, that has issues. It affects their health later on down the road.
Oh
Okay,
yes. Oh
all right.
yes.
So they would prefer the sweet juices. I can remember growing up. One of the things that my parents never did was give us soft drinks, like the soda pop, and so we never got that.
Right.
If you wanted juice, you had to go outside, pick a orange, pick a passion fruit, pick a lime, pick a gospo, and go and make your own juice.
Right.
Right? So that is what we have those things, and we sometimes don't use those things, with our children. Right? We prefer to just buy the things ready made. And let me tell you, when you look at a soft drink, it is loaded with a lot of sugars.
Sugar.
Okay, and zero. I mean, they say they call it what?
Empty calories.
Empty calories. Empty calories. All right. So we must introduce those kind of foods to our children.
Right.
All right. So imagine that young man, that young male child growing up, and by 15, 16, his mid-teens, if he continues to gravitate towards those kind of high sugar, high calorie foods, we are actually seeing teenagers coming down with things like diabetes.
Right.
Right? We have juvenile diabetes and juvenile hypertension. I could remember having to go and talk to some students some years ago, and all of them had and these young children from 8, 9 go up to about 18 years. They had diabetes, and some of them had hypertension. Children. I mean, why are we seeing children with those kind of lifestyle diseases happening in a country like ours? Okay, so it creates problems going forward. Diabetes is one of the things that we know affect men's sexual health, and the issues of erectile dysfunction, and so hypertension is another one. Okay, so we cannot have our children having these kind of lifestyle diseases, because it will affect their family life. It will affect them personally as individuals, and it certainly will affect our society. Because let me tell you, our health bill, as it relates to providing health services for the population, is extremely expensive. It's extremely high. So, and we want to be able to reduce that by doing the right things and starting those right things at a very early age. Very early age. I tell people that I was introduced to cornflakes when maybe I was in fifth form or so in,
Ah,
in secondary school. I'm serious, right?
it's really
And let me
shocking.
tell you, my father had a shop and he sold everything, but
Yes.
we were never given that as a part of the staple in our food. What
Yeah.
we did, I know, I what we did was farine, right? I
Right.
love farine and
Very
milk and a little
nice.
sugar in
Yes.
it or a little honey in it. I love.
Yes.
Right? We
Yes.
we grew our cassava, and you were taught to make farine. It's a lot of hard work. Yeah? I used to say my father and them wicked, but they good lessons, right? Because you had to scrape it, you had to grate it, you had to dry it out in the sun, and then go and patch it. And I loved it hot, and I loved it with maybe just a little bit of sugar. And if you get a little milk, well, things good with you.
Hmm. Hmm.
But those are the healthy stuff that we need, right? Those are the healthy stuff that we need. We need to eat more natural foods instead of the imported processed foods.
Process.
Again, the import building Grenada is pretty high, and we could grow some of the stuff that we need to eat and to keep us healthy going forward.
Right.
So when we say is as you mentioned the import bill, we can say that the price, because if the input bill is high and then the price of the food is still going to be even much higher. I
That's
know,
correct.
yes, local food is a bit uh, expensive just the same,
In some
Right.
instances, yeah.
but at the end of the
Hmm.
day it is better to eat your
But
expensive eat that
the
local.
thing about the local food and it being expensive. Remember, if I'm a farmer and I want to eat chicken, all right, I have to sell my produce to be able to purchase the chicken.
Mm,
Okay. So it means, therefore, that I would have to sell it at a price that I could be able to get enough money to be able to purchase the chicken.
just chicken.
And sometimes that is one of the reasons why sometimes, it elevates the cost
Hmm.
of the items that we grow. Right?
But we
But
know that.
again, eat what you grow and grow
Go
what
and
you
grow
eat.
what you eat.
Yes, because
Mm,
the thing is that if we don't spend that money now, later on, the cost of other things is going to
Oh
pile up
yes.
on us.
Exactly. The health bill.
Yeah,
The
it's going to
health
be.
bill is going to pile up. The
Yeah,
Yes.
health
yeah.
bill is going to pile up. And let me
Again,
tell you, um, the persons who produce these kind of fast foods,
they don't
I,
eat it.
I wouldn't call the name of a soft drink. I wouldn't call the name, but I would just say this: it has absolutely no benefit to the human being. In
None.
fact, they may use it as you could clean toilet, you could do
Clean
all
toilet.
kind of thing
Mhm,
with
I
it.
know which one you're talking about.
And and it is advertised. You know what is the catching point of this? Is the advertisement.
Yeah.
Mm,
All right, we fall for the fame and the empty. Well, they're not even promises. It's just the empty status
Hmm.
that this particular beverage offers.
mhm,
It's not good for human consumption. It
mhm.
is just not good. But when you look at the fame and all the glamour and the glitz behind it, you realize that sometimes people gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
In fact, there are persons who are addicted to it. They cannot do without having one a day.
A
Yeah.
drug.
Right?
and it's like you
Right?
said, you start your children off eating healthy from small, from baby.
From small. From
So when
small.
they are used to a particular taste and particular foods, they would not gravitate towards those empty calories.
Correct.
They would not.
Correct. But the other thing about that is that economically sometimes it might seem cheaper. You buy one of those little ones, right? Again, I wouldn't call the name. Those little ones, right?
Mhm.
You give
Yes.
them that and a packet of biscuit with 4 sweet biscuits in it, and sometimes you tell them that is break. It is cheap, right? You could get it for maybe under $5, right? But at the end of the day, it becomes more expensive in the long run,
Yeah.
all right? And your children become sick from it.
But really and truly, is not really more expensive to give your children fruits. You can cut up a golden apple small and put in a container.
Right.
How much you paying for one golden apple? You're paying $5 for a whole bag.
And let me tell you, you can go by your neighbor who have a
Yes.
golden apple tree and say, neighbor,
And
give
to
me
give
six,
us some.
six golden apples. One could last a day. yeah, and you cut it up for your children and you send them to school, right? Not only they have, there's some of these fruits, especially those that have starch, and so there's a slow release of energy instead of that blast of energy for the sweet items, and then a drop. You want to find out by midday your children sleeping, they're tired, they're complaining that they're tired, but you give them fruits that that would provide that slow release of energy, and they could sustain that energy throughout the entire day of the school.
And don't talk about the bananas. We always have bananas. It's not seasonal.
Ah, I
It's
am
not
telling you.
seasonal
I am telling
watermelon.
you.
You have a
Exactly.
variety.
And not only that, we can plant it. If you have a
Yes.
little backyard,
Grow
just
it. Mhm.
throw a seed in the ground. Now, a friend, a neighbor gave me some years ago, gave me a coconut. All right, coconut was growing and everything, and I just rested in the back there. Up to now, my wife does quarrel about it, but I rested in the back there, and
And
I
it's
really didn't bother
natural.
with it, and it started to grow.
Yes.
The coconut now is big and it's bearing coconuts and all of that and all of that. But I get the talk, oh Lord, boy. I get the blows just for not planting it where I'm supposed to plant it. But it is hello, it is growing, it is producing coconut. But we could do that. We
Yeah.
can do that. We
Yeah.
can plant things. We have, I can remember I just threw out again one of the French cashew seeds. It's a French cashew tree now. Okay, we have rich soils. Let us get a little spot, get a little space, and do the planting and get the fruits, get the vegetables, so that we could
Yeah.
eat.
But sometimes we like the quick fix. Is easier quick
Yes,
to just pick up something and
yes. But the
eat it.
quick fix is giving us
Is
long term
Mhm.
issue. I mean, too often we have men with hypertension and diabetes, and with that you have amputations, you have persons dying before retirement and all that. I mean, right now men are listening. They're starting to check on the health, but we have to check on the health of our children. That is where the issues start. We must concentrate on our children and allowing our children to live healthy lives. And one of the other thing too is that right now a lot of times our children don't go and play to get exercise.
True.
I know
Oh,
I
yes.
was I was getting licks not to go on the football field or not to stay long on the football field. When you hear one mother called one child, everybody's scatter, game done, right? Because we are out there sometimes minutes to 7 playing cricket, we playing football, we getting the exercise. You had sheep and goat and all of that to 10. So the exercise was part and parcel of your the lifestyle growing up. Now today, some of us, some of us parents, we have tablet, we have TV, we have video games, and the children are basically sitting there and taking in these things and not getting the exercise that is needed. They need to run about and play and sweat and just use up the energies that they have so that their bodies can function well.
Yeah, and the exercise is good for their growth and their
Exercise,
bone strength and
bone
the
strength and muscle
muscles
strength
and all
and
those
all of
things.
that,
Yeah.
right? So we have to go back to our natural living. We must go back to our natural living. Too often we just come home, we sit down in front of television, we sit down in front of computer, we sit down in front of tablet, and there's no interaction, there's no socialization, and certainly there's no exercise.
Well, one of the things I recognize based on what we are saying here today is that, well, one, you need to have unity in a household when parents are making decisions for the boy children, because we're talking about men in particular.
Yeah.
So the parents need to know it starts with the parents. If their mind has not changed and their mind has not changed towards the way they eat, then whatever they buy to eat, their children will eat.
We'll
And
eat it.
so
That's right.
it will
That's right.
affect, yeah, so it will affect the the children, because the children don't go to the supermarket and buy their own foods.
No,
It
no,
is
exactly.
definitely the parents' responsibility to do that. So the parents need to have that mindset that says, listen, we need to have a healthy family, and there's not one person saying healthy family and the next person saying a different thing.
True.
You need to have husband and wife making that decision together. Listen, it is for the benefit of the entire family,
Entire family.
right? And once that happens and they have the mind change now, then the meal will change, And sometimes you could face a little challenge if it was bad at first, because you could imagine how the children will react to the food that you are now
Taste.
feeding
That's
them,
right.
because
That's right.
you're challenging them now to, even the parent themselves, it could be hard for them.
For them to.
But that's where the change in mind
And
began.
let me tell you, that is so very true. Okay, that is so very true. If you if you're eating fruits, a lot of times your children, oh daddy, I want piece, oh mommy, I want piece.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
give them, right?
Yes.
So they acquire the taste. Now you parents don't know, and the point that you make is so very important. Parents determine the taste of their children just by the food that they have around them, or the food that they use. Okay?
True.
So with the fruits and everything, if the parent could do that, fine. The other thing I want to add to that is, feel free, right, for persons who have little property, little land, little garden, get your children involved.
Yeah.
Let them come out and see how things grow. All right. I could remember it was during the COVID. I planted sweet potatoes, and my sons and them, they assisted in planting sweet potatoes. They lock up and say, you have to find things to do. Eventually, I went out and started to work. And when the potato was ready, all right, they was part and parcel of digging it up and say, "Oh, daddy, we get potato," and they excited because they want to know. Well, we plant this piece of vine, and all of a sudden, you have something that you could eat. So they anxious now to go and boil it and taste it and make sure that you understand. So they got in the exercise. You had an opportunity where you could sit and talk and all kind of thing, interact with them, socialize with them, fellowship with them, right? I mean, we neglect those types of experiences. We neglect those types of experiences, but they form the basis of building bonds, building unity, building friendship, building an understanding of your children, and simple things like that. You could begin to develop into a habit among your children. Okay, you could develop into a habit. Now they want to go on, and I promise to clean a little piece of land only for them, but trust me, I haven't done it as yet. Right? But they want to go and plant. They want to plant this, and they have all kind of fancy ideas now. They feel like them is farmer idea. Right?
That's good.
But it starts just by the parent doing something, so that
They are motivated.
they're motivated.
They're motivated. Yeah.
And that's so true, because that also would help them to become better parents in the future, because
Correct.
they only follow what they see and what they've been taught, but the practical aspect of it is even more wonderful than just telling them. You show them
so they could actually see it.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
that's it. But
Right? But again, and I really want to stick this point home. The issues of health starts early. It starts
right.
in their children.
Yeah.
That's right. So I have a question here, right? Now the ideal thing is to start early, but what about those? Let's see, let's look at the teenagers. They kind of, into it already. Maybe they've been taught the wrong way, and they're teenagers, and we want to, what do we say, re-educate, or change their mindset at that. So how do we go about, especially, teenagers can be set in their ways.
Yes.
Oh, do you have any ideas of how we can go about educating teenagers or getting them to change their mind regarding how they eat and the things that they do, their lifestyle that can affect them when they become older? Do you have any
Well,
ideas?
we need to have a frank, straight talk, as well as modeling the behavior. Okay,
That's right.
You need to have a frank. Let me tell you, teenagers, especially teenage boys, when they are going into puberty, their physique start to change,
yeah,
Right.
right? And they might now start to get interested in the other sex.
yeah,
Okay, that is a point that you need to begin to have the conversation.
Right.
So the issue of exercise, to
Right.
buff up yourself, man.
Mm.
Right? I watch my son lifting weights and so does laugh. right? No, but he's at that age, right? So
Right,
he participated in sports, he
right.
ran for intercall for his school and all of that. But
Mhm.
that just says that, you know, he's seen the developments in his body, and
Mhm.
he wants to complement that by pushing it a little further.
Right.
Okay. And when you do that, one, you get the attention that sometimes you need or you feel that you need. You become healthy, you become more physical and all of that. But along with that comes the diet. And that's where sometimes parents have to come and say, look, you can't be eating this kind of crap that you're eating before. You can't be eating the junk food and all of that because
But you know what? Just
doesn't
to
help.
interrupt you for just a second there,
You go
the
ahead.
junk food and so because sometimes as parents we think, okay, these are teenagers and they need around that age they need a lot to eat. So let me just leave them. Let they just, if it's bread they
No,
want, just feed them the bread.
No,
If it's
no.
no, you can't do that.
No, if you do that, you are creating problems, right?
For the
Yeah.
adults,
Um,
because it's next to
yes,
adult.
exactly. So
So yeah,
you want to give them food that have that slow release of energy, because you
Right.
give them sugar packed foods, it boosts them up in the beginning and it lets them down very, very early because sugar goes through your system, right? But you want to be able to give them foods that they could, you teach them about dieting, you tell them about what to eat, you tell them about the value of fresh fruits and vegetables. All right. We have an abundance of that. Instead of giving them cornflakes and all of that in the morning, you do a little bit of fig and saltfish or something. So
yes,
it gives them some body. So it could they have that food there, that the energies in that food can last them throughout the school day. All
Yeah.
right. But
So
that is a good point where you can introduce the use of foods to be able to complement what
yeah,
they want to achieve in their bodies as teenagers.
yeah, I would just add this point.
high protein, and sorry,
High protein food,
high
and you can get that from beans, you
protein.
can get that from nuts, from fruits and all of that, all right, that are rich in those nutrients.
What I would like to add is this, right? Now, I think I lost my thought. But at the end of the day, but I lost my thought. Sorry.
the food we were
The
talking about.
food, the food, the food. What about the food I was going to say? Oh, right, right, right. Every family has a history, all right, and of some sort of disease. There's no family that does not have a history. You know, if you check your family history, you would probably figure out my grandparents or this parent suffered with this. And genetically speaking, these diseases they tend to trickle down to through the generation. You understand? And there are some of those that are only curable by God's grace or by His miraculous hand. So you need to teach your children, especially men. Men need to teach their boys what is in our family line, right? Some people we call it a curse, right? That needs to be broken. But if God doesn't intervene, then it remains there. We cannot ignore it. So what I'm saying is, on both sides of the family, the wife supposed to have a good idea as to what existed in her father and mother's bloodline, and the same for the husband. In so doing, you don't eat to eat or to if you know diabetes exists in a family, why feed your children a lot of sweets? And then it's good to get to know your children's their status.
Yeah, the health
So
status.
you need to carry them to a doctor, do a blood test on them. I don't think that is it, and it's something you do consistently. But if you know, and that's where knowing comes to play. So once you know now, you try to not eat. If it's sweets, it's diabetes,
Sweets and
don't
salt.
eat a whole set of sweets and salt. You try to minimize on that. Don't feed them all this processed stuff. You know, um, whatever it is. If it's cancer, certain meats might be bad for cancer. So why feed them? So the point is, a lot of people keep dying. Men dying, right? You see a man die because in his he died. His mother died from cancer. His grandmother died from cancer. Her aunt died from cancer. You don't see a trend. Something is happening there. Why do you need to die from cancer because it is in your bloodline. No, maybe you don't have it as yet, but pay attention, it is in your bloodline. So what do? You don't go eating the same way that they eat and hoping for a different result. So as parents, we need to be aware of that and try to feed our children differently so that, you know.
I love the point. I think you made some points that I just want to establish just a little bit more. Yes, we do have a health history of our family. Okay, and because of that, we need to allow our young boys to experience healthcare providers, have a relationship, introduce that relationship to our healthcare providers. Too often, young men don't get an opportunity to see the doctor. I think we established that the last time I was here,
Yes.
where our young girls, as soon as the mother, that child is born, she goes to the doctor. If her belly starts to hurt her because of menstruation, and so she carries her to the doctor, and that young girl has a relationship with a healthcare provider. We don't see that in boys. There's no checkpoint for boys until maybe later on down the road when they start to get a job and they tell them they want a medical. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So we have to introduce that sort of relationship with healthcare providers. Bring your sons. If you have a daughter and a son, bring both of them to the doctor.
That's right.
Let them get an opportunity to do an annual checkup. See exactly what's happening. Let them go to the dentist.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Don't leave out the dentist.
Don't need the dentist, right?
Yes.
Bring them to the dentist, because the truth, as soon as they start to bust the permanent teeth, you want that permanent teeth to remain permanent. All right, and we want to look at the general health. Okay, so we have to introduce that early. We must introduce that early. Too often, our boys would only go by the doctor when they are actually sick or close to dying. Right? So we have to introduce that to them early. Now I see a note here. We have to get creative in food preparation. Yes, we do.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we do. And let me tell you, you can do that food preparation in such lovely ways. Right? Such lovely ways. I have one of my sons. He don't like to eat vegetables. Right? But if you put tomato and you put a little red something and pepper and thing and whatnot, and you put maybe a little bit of dressing on top of that, he'll eat it. But if you just give him bland the lettuce just like that, nah, you look too green, he want that. Right?
Sometimes we have to add in a little smiley faces and
that's right. Put a little raisins and all that, he likes that. Okay, but we have to be creative in our food preparation. We have to We have to introduce them to our healthcare professionals and let them understand what is required of them. Now, as it relates to some of the health history in our families, right? We have to be mindful of it, and as we get older, we have to take the necessary precautions so that we would not fall victim to that at an early age. Remember, a lot of our parents might have developed diabetes even after retirement, right? Because they slow in activity, the things that they did before slowed down. They may be a little bit more sedentary. They're not going out. They're not doing the exercise as regular. So they may develop some of those diseases later on in life, as compared to us and our children who developing it younger, simply because of the foods that we eat. Yeah. Okay, when you heard about somebody that was hypertensive or diabetic, a lot of times it might be in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Okay, today, again, I say that there are children in their teens that have diabetes and hypertension. Okay, so we have to be careful. Because our parents, they had more physical activity to do growing up. They had to walk. We didn't have to just jump in a car and go on the way. No, they had to wait, get up early and wait on Sweet Roses or one of those big boat buses to be able to go to town. And
to jog water from afar.
Thank you.
You gotta go to the shop.
right? When I tell my children we used to have to jog water because Woburn a place never had water, so you had to jog water. And I told them as far I can remember going as far as the gap in Confa to jog water to Woburn,
Good
right?
stuff.
And let me tell you, it wasn't me alone. It's not to say it was just me alone. Everybody had a cart. They put two buckets in that, and everybody racing to go down and bring back up water,
You
right?
understand?
But the exercise was good. The
Yeah, man.
camaraderie, the fellowship, the socialization, it was good. Okay, it was good. The thing is that we don't have that issues to deal with. We live a more luxurious life because water come right there. You could get a tank and put the water, and you water right there. You don't
That's
have to go and drug it anymore. The only time I see people drugging water was after Ivan. Okay, right? But we have to be able to get in the exercise, get in the physical activity, and understand that if you have your parents had those kind of issues as it relates to health, we have to be on our p's and q's so that we could live as long as them. A lot of them lived and they died from it in the 80s. Today our young people are dying too
20s.
young, in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, from the disease that their parents had.
That's sad, yeah.
All right. One of the other thing too I want to talk about is the use of alcohol. Alcohol is packed with a lot of sugars. It's basically sugar that make alcohol. And when I see very young people drinking alcohol, and it's not just a matter of drinking two beers as a matter of socialization or drinking a glass of wine. They say that they're taking load, and that vernacular, that phrase alone tells you
Lord.
the abuse that our young men and women are having, are participating, or how they participate in the use of alcohol, right? So again, when you have 20% men in their 20s and 30s dying from problems with the liver because of alcohol or alcohol abuse or alcohol related illnesses, we know that we have a problem. We have a serious problem. And let me tell you, alcoholism has a genetic preponderance as well. Okay.
Yeah. But I think about peer pressure and these lifestyle practices. Sometimes you grow up in a home where we eat healthy. Alcohol is an occasional thing, but you have friends and
Yes.
you have companions who you want
They
to be
abuse it.
part of the group, so
Yes.
you're going.
Yes. And
True.
we have to teach our children against that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
the
We have,
training has to go
see,
deeper.
if you could strengthen the individual,
That's right.
as long as you could have that individual to become resilient,
Yeah.
all the pressures from the outside would not be able to move that individual, as long as that individual have a clear understanding of where he or she wants to go.
That's right. They become a leader instead of a follower.
Exactly. All right. So your friends could drink as much as listen. I again, my father had a rum shop. Okay. One of the things I never did was saw him drunk. I never saw him drunk in my life, but I know that he used to drink rum. I know that he used to drink rum, but I never saw him drunk. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that he had to create that sort of persona in front of us so that we understand where we ought to go. So there was alcohol in the house all the time.
Right.
As young children, we were never interested in it. All right. His friends used to come along on a Sunday evening and they drinking and all of that and all that. Yes, sometimes you drink as well. I drink as well. But it's not a situation where that is what I do 24/7 every week, every month. No. Okay.
So what makes an alcoholic alcoholic?
Right. Of course, there are various levels of addiction. Okay. So again, I always like to tell people the journey of 1,000 miles begin but with one step. All right. So you may have what you refer to as occasional drinking. So on specific occasions, like around Christmas time, you have Christmas coming up, around Carnival time, around birthday or a wedding or something. So you may have alcohol, and alcohol permeates every strata and every occasion in our culture. Okay, so you from the cradle to the grave, alcohol is at the
Alcohol.
gate,
Yeah.
right? So you have where somebody may have, on specific occasions they would take a drink, all right? Okay, and then you have what is called habitual drinking. So you have occasional, and it now becomes a habit, where after every Friday I
That's it.
must go and take a drink with the boys.
Drink every
Hmm?
Friday. Yeah.
Finish work, or they go in and thing, or we go in and do X, Y, Z. So I had to take a drink with the boys, right?
Mm.
And that graduates now into um, psychological dependence, where you feel that you must drink to be able to function.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And lastly, you have that physiological dependence, where your body is telling you now that I cannot do without the substance.
Right.
If I don't have the substance in me, I become sick. So you have that withdrawal symptoms. You become sick. You're sweating. You're feeling weak. You're feeling dizzy, and as soon you're feeling nervous, and as soon as you get a drink, all of a sudden everything goes back to
Think
normal.
good. Yeah.
But that is the final stage of alcoholism. All right. But again, like I always tell children, if you look at the word habit, it's HABIT. All right. You take out the H, you have a bit. You take out the A, you have bit. All right. You take out
The
A
B.
B I T. You take out the B, you still have it. Right. That's what sometimes we do with the issues of alcohol.
Mhm.
Whenever, and again, there are some questions that you could ask yourself to gauge whether or not you are alcoholic. Can I stop drinking for the entire month
Mhm.
or for the entire week?
Yeah.
Have somebody complained about your drinking? Hmm? Right? And those sometimes are two questions that you could ask. Do I have to have alcohol
That's it.
as part of any part of my celebration or any part of my whatever your life?
I feel.
Okay, if you could answer those questions and answer them honestly in a negative, fine, you might be okay. But if you begin to have doubts about it, it means that you are on the road to becoming an alcoholic.
And I think I want to add, what does the smell and sight does to you when you smell it or when you see it? What
Right,
happens in your mind?
right. And let
What
me tell you,
what triggers go?
let me also say that the producers of alcohol have done their work. They have done their homework. They
Hmm.
know who to target,
That's right.
who have the money to be able to upkeep the habit.
Hmm.
When you look at the exotic drinks, especially and they are advertised for young women, we know that a lot of our young women have good income. All right, all right, and
The color.
they are creating nice bottles and
Yes, the
Mhm.
shape.
beautiful advertisements
Yeah.
and making you feel that you would be a star
If you
when
have
you
that.
when you purchase and you consume those
Right.
beverages.
Mr. Payne, that is so true. And the same thing goes with food.
Correct.
Food. Take for example, and I always draw that analogy to people. No, you taste KFC before, right?
Yes.
Right. And when you used to eat it regular or just once in a blue moon?
No, I'm not. The truth is that I'm not a lover of it. I just don't know why. I'm just not a lover of it.
Right. Just like me, I don't eat it at all right now. But the point I'm making is, if you start eating KFC and you go to St. George, you're passing in Grandlands,
Ah,
and
man, the
that
smell.
scent, that scent hits you and it catch your nose. All of a sudden, your mouth just
Yep.
start watering, and then you tell yourself, "Boy, I need to have a piece of KFC,"
Yes.
and
Yes.
then it goes right with a Coke. So you tell yourself, "Nah, boy, if I have
Okay.
a Coke, it ain't making sense." But in years gone by, when I used to sell life insurance a little more regular, I always tell people that this is how your senses get the best of your pocket, right? So they know the exact location. Now they are moving another franchise in the heart of St. George's, where it will be another set of scent flying through the atmosphere. Now, if you're not conscious of that, it gets the best of you.
No, it's true.
And if every
That's
time
it.
you get there, you keep getting the best of you, eventually you're gonna get the best of you.
That's true.
You
That's true. And
understand?
let me tell you, the makers of these products know what they're doing. Huh?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
They know what they're doing. They know that the scent and all of that, the smell and everything would affect people and would cause persons to gravitate. Sometimes they don't. The issue again to man, watch the Bible don't lie. Yeah?
true.
Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life.
Right.
The issue of status.
Yeah,
A
but
lot of times I watch at people
it's
figure
become
that
big.
they have this fried chicken and the box
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything,
the box,
and
yeah.
they feel that they it is almost like if you're showing off that they could purchase.
It's
You
a bit.
understand?
It's a bit. It bring
Again,
back a
it's
memory.
status.
It bring back a memory of my birthday, my 10th birthday. My dad got me 2 pieces of fried chicken, right? 2 pieces of
KFC.
fried KFC in a box. I could never forget that. Living in the countryside. What? I got two
You-
pieces of, man, I run in the bush. I gone in the bush
Right.
and hide and eat my KFC. I don't want nobody begging me.
Right.
Can I tell you, because in that side of the country, when you come to and you get a piece of KFC, it's like you get a piece of cold chicken.
Cool. That's
Cool.
You understand? And it's like you like something goes off in your head. I'm eating KFC.
right.
You know?
Now imagine that you 10 years old and that happened to you. Imagine
man.
there are adults who
It keep happening to them.
to be flaunting that they could buy KFC.
KFC and big box
They
and
could
box.
buy that
buckets.
chicken,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
gives them a particular type of status. Again, with the same issue of alcohol,
That's right.
you have bigger brands, you have top shelf drinks,
Mm.
and people feel that if they could walk with the bottle, and you see it on the screen
Yeah.
with artists and all of that.
Yeah.
If they could walk with it, give them a certain particular status. And
Yeah.
and let me tell you, it is again, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a life on the pit of hell.
It's just a lie, a big lie, for real.
The amount of deception that's out there is amazing.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Deception.
Yeah. People need to understand that. You see, liberation for one, minds and the mind, your mind of a human, and even then for you to experience it in your body, it comes from knowledge.
That's
Right?
that's
The
correct.
knowledge is there. The thing is, the world love knowledge, but they
Yes.
love a lot of stupid things too. You
That's
understand?
true.
And they make things that have no value to human appear to be like it is
Right.
something. You understand? And everybody say, a man put it in a song. Every year you have it. They drink rum, telling you party until morning.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like you are experiencing that, and at the time when you're involved in it, it's like, oh, that's the best thing, boy. Watch that.
Yes.
Watching a
yes.
party Friday night, like this morning, I going to drop off friends by the airport, and I see some people along the road there. Like, I try to understand this after 7 in the morning, and
Oh, they're just coming from party?
no, they're in
Yes.
the party still.
Oh.
And I'm like, what are you guys doing there still in my mind? I can't believe, because that party was like since the night part. I mean, since
Yeah.
yesterday night.
Yeah.
So you can imagine they drink and they don't sleep. Let's talk about that part. Men's health. Men
Yes.
don't want to sleep.
Again, with the issues of sleep,
Yeah. No
sleep
rest.
sleep is so important to keep to give your body a rest, to reorganize, recuperate, restructure all the things, dump all the toxins and so in your body.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't get that rest, tell yourself you might be in trouble if you're doing that for a prolonged period of time.
Your time.
Right?
You could lose your head.
Yeah,
Literally.
no, but the issues of hypertension and all of that,
It's even higher risk.
Mhm.
Higher risk.
it creates higher risk for you.
Yeah, the
And-
heart is overworking.
And plus your liver is
And
compromised.
Yeah.
That's right. Your liver and your kidneys need that rest time. That
Yeah.
time just to be able to gather all the toxins from the body. Your whole metabolism slows down, and all the
Slows down.
toxins begin to organize to release itself in the morning. And if you don't do that, you would have some problems.
Yeah, and as my brother saying there, the image, ego, self
Yes.
information is a
Foundation.
message they present, and
Yes.
that's so true.
Yes.
The image and the
Right.
image, somebody probably in that situation who don't yet see the light might say, "Oh, they're just not cool. You're criticizing us." My little tip for you is that who don't hear us feel. Well, people always say that you don't want to listen. Okay, keep doing it, and come
And
back
you
and
would,
talk to
and you
us
would
in
see,
2 years.
you would see,
You will find out.
you would see.
Bible said it, brother. What you sow,
You would reap.
you will
That
reap.
was true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always my thing is that the ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
Yeah,
Right?
Exactly.
Organize the
Always
prevention.
better than
And again, from the message that I got, image, ego, self-affirmation is the message they preach, and that is true.
Mm-hmm.
They the behind all of that is to get to your money, to get to your pocket. Okay, so they're going to sell you a false status,
Yeah,
making you feel like you're on top of the world,
top of the world.
You'll get
That's
all the
it.
women.
making you feel exactly.
And especially us men, eh?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I love what
making
my
us
wife just said.
Mhm.
You'll get all the women.
Mhm.
I know the young boys, they figure, well, here's what. I have the best clothes. I could buy the most
yes,
expensive
yes,
alcohol. I have a bike. I still have a car on the side. You know, I saw a guy, and it's so amazing. Remember on our anniversary, we went down to a particular place to take some pictures. So I saw this guy pull up. And when he pull up, his music banging. And dude came out with a weed in his mouth. And I'm looking at him like, so that's supposed to be cool? Like, you smoking that weed and playing your music loud in a car. Like, how that make you feel that you're actually cool? No, I'm not criticizing the guy, but I'm just trying to figure out what is so
yes,
cool about that,
yes.
that you're gonna lose your hearing if you keep playing that loud music in a car and you keep smoking and then you still have a
Bad for
little
your
drink
health.
on the side. How long would you be able to continue?
My question is, how would that make you a man?
Oh, that's an expert.
Well, that does not make
What-
you a man in any
Exactly.
sense or form. However you twist it, pat it,
Because
try to create it.
I realize in society we have a false
Image.
idea of manhood and what manhood is about.
Yeah.
We feel like you have to drink, you have to be with the men on the block drinking to be a man. You have to be smoking weed. You have to be
Playing
having a lot
music
of
loud.
woman to be a man.
And it's very
And
same.
that is so not what a man is.
You understand?
And our young women want to know what they should look up to as a man if they were looking for a husband. What kind of man they should be looking for?
Very well said, Sister Donnie, because that's where parents have to teach their young girls. And fathers need to model what a real man looks like. If that is not happening, they would just go and take what they get, just what their parents did.
Right.
You understand?
And the point about teaching the young girls there, a lot of times, what a lot of our young females see in some of the presentation of our artists, music artists, and so on,
That's the
is
next.
that it's
next
totally
level.
and absolutely false.
Yep.
All right. A lot of times that is who they gravitate to, or that type of lifestyle that they gravitate to, making them feel that these persons are rich and they this and they that and they so all of the above. All right. What you want to be able to have is somebody that one respects you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Somebody that have is working towards achieving something, achieving a goal,
Yeah.
understanding that they have to take care of themselves, take care of, if they enter into family life, take care of their family, take care, somebody who has that sort of ambition
That's
going
right.
forward.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
right.
Too often we get a false presentation of what we must become. All right. It has absolutely nothing to do with material acquisition. All right. We go for the material things. We go for the hype and the glamour and the glitz, and it does not last. It does not last. What will last is when you have those innate values,
Values. Yeah.
right? Those innate values and those innate morals that would give you the edge in terms of wisdom and achieving your objective and
That's right.
appreciating life.
Mhm.
That is what will last, not the nonsense that you see out there.
Mhm.
Those things as far as I'm
Important.
concerned, it's just the drama and
Yeah,
the and the
temporal.
And
and the
glamour.
pretense and the glamour and all of that.
Yeah.
No depth.
It has
I mean,
exactly, it has no value, it has no depth.
yeah, and we're not saying that you're gonna live a boring life and like a poor person begging
No,
on
no,
this.
no,
We're not saying that. We are
not at
saying
all. Not at
that,
all.
and just to reiterate your point, I just wanted to put some honey on top of it. I want to
Yes, sir.
choose
Go
sugar.
ahead.
I would choose honey because it's a healthy thing.
Yes,
You
sir.
understand? So what we are saying is that focus on becoming the best version of yourself.
Right.
Know who God says you are and try to find out that. Have some good values and some good morals. And then when God see you could handle life, he will trust you with some of the things that will eventually perish. But you and the attachment to those things is minimal. You
Yes.
value life more.
Mhm.
All right. So you could always say, if that leave, your life didn't leave. I have this saying I always tell my wife, if I end up in China and I can't speak Chinese, because of my faith, I believe God will still make a way for me. If
Yes.
I can't speak Chinese, you
Yes.
understand? And I end up there, I believe it's because of my faith, a way will still be made for me. That's because
Yes.
of the value system I have for myself regarding my relationship with God. It's not about what I have. These things come and they go. People, as an expert again, men lose themselves when they experience loss,
Loss.
not just in family, but in
But
things.
material things.
You know,
Yes.
you have a car as a young boy, you always wanted that car. Finally, you get it. You meet in an accident, and then you say you're stressed right now. You said
Life
you say,
over.
"What my life done? That car mash up." Is like the car becomes your life. You lose a job that you probably been that's your first job. You probably really like it. You understand what I'm saying? And then you lose your mind. You run to the bottle. You run to the weed. You say nobody don't understand what you're going through. I don't have money. Your
Mhm.
life still have worth without money. So when I say the value things, we're talking about who you become, the condition of your heart, the
Yes.
mindset you have towards life, and of course, the relationship you have with God. So men need to make sure that these areas, these things, you know, they are important to them,
Yeah.
and parents have to teach their children those things because these children, they are growing up in such a way that they seeing things. They might go by the neighbor and they see the neighbor have something and they come back home and tell you they want to get it. Some parents don't use their head. What they do, they go and get it and put it in the house. What are you creating? Monsters? You're creating children that will say, yes, everything comes snappy. Where's the
That's right.
reasoning?
That's
When they
right.
can't get it, they go thief for it too.
Oh, and not just that.
Now,
I see my
I
sister share a video with I see my sister
yes,
share a video the other day in terms of children in the 20s. That comes remember the
children.
video. And the children in this era now, back then we punishing them. You tell them no, but no, these children will come and they will take the belt from you and beat you. So
Yes.
if you, you remember the
Let
video?
me let me share. I saw a video that was sent in.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the person asked, if it was your child, what would you do? I
Uh-huh.
think it was a teenage boy whose mother had promised to buy him an iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
and she must have bought it and she took it away from him for some reason or the other, and the
Oh, I
man
remember that.
destroyed
Mm-hmm.
the entire apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes, I remember.
We do have, I know of a couple cases, I don't think it's here, where again the issue of phone and expensive sneakers
Relationship.
came into being, where these children actually killed their parents and grandparents
Mm-hmm.
because they could not get an expensive sneaker or a phone.
Yeah.
And that, trust me, that has disturbed me. Right? When I was growing up, you used to get just in case licks.
Yeah, man. In case leaks, in case
Yes.
leaks.
Just
When
in
the
case
school
that
hold
you
on,
behave like that,
behave
you're
today.
getting,
Yes.
you're getting licked.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, we cannot, first of all, our world is very materialistic,
Yeah.
extremely materialistic. And a lot of times, sometimes we as parents pass on that sort of materialistic tendencies to our children.
Children, yeah.
Right? One of the things that I was taught very early is that whatever you got, you had to work for it. I can remember just going around Christmas time, the amount of work I had to do just to get, back in the day at $20 or so. I mean, and you work for it, you get at $2, you get at $3 here, you get at $5 day, and you're able to gather all of that, and you have $20 and use boy in tongue. Okay, you go in tongue, you buy 2 little packs gone, a little sugar cake or some kind of thing, and all of a sudden, a little car and all that, and use boy. Right now, we have a materialistic world, and some of the material things that our children are demanding and asking for are very expensive, very, very expensive, and we cannot afford to lose our children by the expensive gifts that we give them. If they want to get it, they must have an understanding that they have to work for it.
That's right.
All right, it does not come easy, and too often I think parents spoil their children into are trying to gain their friendship by giving them things instead of instilling values. All right, I too often, for them to behave, we give them things. And let me tell you, the thing about human beings is that as long as people get things free, they would ask for more things that are more expensive, more cost more, and they would want to get that free. My father always tell me, nothing in life is free. Somebody paid for it.
That's right.
That's correct.
Somebody paid for it. And I mean, we had sheep, we had goat. I can remember when I did, and I always tell people this, when I did common entrance the first time, when I passed common entrance, my father gave me a sheep. Right? You have some other guys, they get this, they get that, you understand? My father gave me a sheep. And that sheep used to drop 3, not just 2, 3. Okay? But you had to take care of it. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. It means that you have a greater responsibility whenever you achieve things. The people depend on you more. You have a greater responsibility, and with that greater responsibility, or with that greater achievement, comes greater responsibility, and with that greater responsibility comes harder work. You have to be more disciplined. You have to be more respectful. You have to begin to focus on yourself as to what you are going to do with this responsibility. A lot of times we don't get responsibility because God does not. He recognizes that we sometimes are not disciplined enough to take on the responsibility that He should bestow upon us, and we don't reach anywhere. All right. So we have to understand that with you getting more comes a greater responsibility to the things that you have and the things that you achieve.
That's true. And
we have to teach our children that.
That's it. Because the children these days, they're so smart, I would say. Some of them will come. So, Daddy, if I do that, what I'll get? If I do that, you'll buy that for me? My son tried that me a couple of times. I say, so wait now. So who you doing it for? Me?
Right.
You think you're doing it for me? You're making joke, but then that for me, that for you, that for your future. If I come first in class, what I will get? And some parents might take that beat and say, okay, well, I'll go buy you this thing. What you want?
Right.
I say we don't reward them.
No, you reward them. Yes, you could reward them. But the reward must come with a level of responsibility. Too often we see that our children have too much rights without responsibilities. Rights and responsibility goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and another thing that some parents do, they give their children devices, access to the internet. Them children not ready for that yet. What are you giving? The world is out there waiting to spoil your child.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Yeah. And when you open up certain things to your children, and if you're not monitoring it and too early, you're only creating monsters.
Exactly.
When they want to kill you, right? And we say it as it is. When they want to kill you for things, it's because what you did. They learn that somewhere. Remember, they are gaining knowledge every single day, every single experience. Every person speak to them. They are developing something. Their own personality is based on what has been fed to them as young children. So you see, the mind of a child is very important. If you shape the mind properly, you would have strong boys and strong teenagers and strong young men, and not just
And,
physically strong, but
and let me tell
mentally.
you, the enemy is contending for the minds of our young people.
Young men in particular, man.
I'm
Listen,
telling you, the minds of our young men
yeah, man.
and young women.
Mhm.
But he's contending. The devil is contending. He is battling to ensure that we capture their minds.
Mhm.
With all the things that is going on the internet. The internet is both good and evil.
Yeah, man.
And we as parents
lots
have
of
to
good and evil.
guide our children how to use it, how to be responsible, and
Yes.
how to be able to sift through the nonsense that is presented on the internet.
Man, that is true. Sadani just spoke a book. She says like when you won't eat from the tree of what?
Knowledge
Good
of
and
good.
evil.
Yeah, man. So eat it. If you go in there, it's there, but
Yeah.
it's not all bad. I mean,
No,
my
no,
son
no, no.
sometimes I see he sit down watching so much tech stuff to the point where I see he take outside a phone. He say he want to make a camera come to life. He take he generally try things, So you don't always spend time watching cartoons and so on. Though he watch a little of those things, but he's into technology and making things work. The day he come with something, I had to record it because say, yeah, you're doing well, man. But you come up with that, I didn't know that. He taught me something. You understand? And you have to congratulate them or give them a little
Yes,
encouragement and
yes,
you
yes,
see
yes.
they're doing something, along that line. But if you keep letting go things and even watching the history, they even clearing the catch. Sometimes these internet sites and them they recommend things. Okay, I know
Yes.
they never busy. So as a parent, sometimes you have to go and clear the catch. As the next thing I told, we're doing a program the other day, and I was telling them there's a family app you can use if you want to give them access to the device. Everything that the children look at will pop up on your phone. It is called the Let me tell you the name of that app.
The one that Google has?
Yeah, it's called a Family Link app.
Yeah, the family.
So parents who have Android devices and they want to give their children thing, link the device to your device and don't just link it and put it on and don't pay attention. Watch and see what they are looking at.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, but we have the technology to be able to protect our children.
Of
And
course.
let me tell you, the internet. I hear some stories, even with adults, that lose money. That the internet, man, it's again, it's both good and evil.
Yeah.
Both good and evil, and we have to be very mindful. Even some of the music videos, some of the games that children,
Yes.
get involved, filled with witchcraft.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Filled with witchcraft.
Mhm.
All right,
Caskets.
and
Okay.
our exactly, and our children are becoming victims.
Bewitched.
You
Yeah.
have children sitting in front, and some of them parents have to be mindful.
Yeah, man.
You can't allow your child to just sit down in front of a screen for hours,
Hours.
just
What is it
soaking
doing?
in what the world has to
Them.
offer, and not intervene and say, look, that is enough. Okay, you have to monitor, you have to know, you have to stay on top of what's going on. And let me tell you, they are tech savvy, they are smart,
You figuring?
and you have to pay attention.
That's right.
They might be visiting sites incognito. You
Yeah,
can't, when you go back and you look at the history, you can't know if they actually visited the site.
that's right.
But you have to be so
Set up your
over.
parameters. You could do that. You could set up parameters. There are
Yes.
things you can
Yes,
do.
so they cannot get into some of those sites.
Yeah,
I have had children gone in and use parents' credit card and debit card and take
Yeah,
us some
yeah.
money. And man, watch the internet people out there, and let me tell you, persons out there who prey on these children are not in love with them. They don't care who you are. There's no discrimination in terms of the things that they would do against you.
That's true.
So we have to be very, very mindful of that.
Just before you wrap up the regarding the television and the devices, right? Something you mentioned a while ago when when the parent took away the device and then in turn the child turned around and slay the parent or the grandparent. Then you talked about the alcohol abuse and how one knows when they become addicted. So there's this addiction that happens that is not good for the children with the screen. So when you see the child behave in a particular way, when you try to take the device from them, you have to ask yourself why.
Mhm.
Why is
Why?
that happening? I had an experience when my son was a bit younger. I remember our first son, and I remember taking that device, and the boy turned into a monster. Mr. Pierre, no joke. I just take the device and I just break the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it might have song. He songs harsh,
Yeah.
but I had to then
That
give him
is
a
stamp it
purge.
out immediately.
To give him a purge from this device for a while, so he
Yeah.
could understand. Because the level I'm talking about a 6-year-old. You understand what I'm saying? And when you see those kind of action, you have to take some drastic measure.
Oh
You might
yes.
somebody might say, well, you could have put it aside, rather than breaking it. But I had to break it so you could understand,
Understand exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
And you have to take some measures to protect them. It's not even for you, it's for
That's
them.
for their
Their own
protection.
good. Because
For
if
their
a child is so at that age intertwined to this thing and they're growing up that way, think about 5 years after they say children learn the most within what ages?
It's up to
Well,
12. It's up to 12.
In the early
And
stages.
the early
yeah,
stages. So
actually from very very early children
Yeah.
start to absorb it.
Yes.
you get it?
From 2 years,
Very
you have
very early.
So the observation now is when he is away and I say, yo, give me that device. You have no access to it. The response now is different. Because you had to break something.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You understand the device could always be replaced. Some parents might say, "Oh, yeah, I just
Yeah.
had to do what I had to do
You
to
have to do.
protect the
You have to
boy."
do that. You have
Because
to do
what I saw, man, that thing started hurting my belly. You understand? So, but don't break the device, earlier.
That'll be really fast.
Yeah, and that's why we need men in the home too.
Oh
Leaving
yes.
men to
Oh
grow
yes.
men is not an easy thing.
It's not an easy thing.
You can't leave women. I mean, there are some parents, some female, they are very strong, and thank God for them.
Yeah.
But you need the presence of a man in the home and
That's
a
correct.
man in the children's lives, especially the young boys. Mr. Pay, from statistics, I'm sure you might have some idea. When you look at some of the people, the young fellas who are more involved in alcohol and drug abuse and crimes and so on, what is the situation? You tell me from statistics. Is
Yeah,
it like,
well, it's again a lot of these guys come from single parent homes. I'm not knocking it, but that's what the statistics are saying.
yeah,
All right. Come from homes where there's no father,
no,
there's no father figure, there's no and if you look at the father, the role model, what the father presents is something negative. He's absent from the home first and foremost. And what he presents is something that it's not of the best. Right? But generally that's what the stats are saying.
yeah,
That's what the stats are saying.
they follow what they see. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
So we had a lengthy conversation today.
That's all I can tell.
We went all around the tongue and come back.
That's all right.
But it was all good. It was all good. We spoke about a lot of things that are really related to men. And as we said, as you started off, Mr. Pierre, it starts from young. And I agree with you. So if we learn to change the behavior from young, if we learn to, there's this saying, if you bend the tree,
When it's
what's it?
young.
While it's young.
It's young.
Right, it's
Yeah.
young.
Right.
My father used to say you can only bend the tree
That's right.
while it is young.
That's
It's
right.
young.
If you try to bend it when it is old, you will break it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Bend it
right.
while it's young.
So that's what we have to do. We have to shape their minds from young. We have to teach them the good habits from young, teach them how to eat, get them to have healthy lifestyles from young, so that when they grow up older, we can see better results. Some of these men issues will not, they would not actually occur because they took care of their health from young, and even if they may have issues, it wouldn't be because of the choices that they made when they were younger. All right.
Yeah.
So
And find just one thing:
go ahead.
do try to cook more food at home instead of
Yeah.
buying food.
Yes, that's
Trying to
definitely
get a home cooked meal instead of going and purchase food. It's
yes.
cheaper.
That's
That
one
way,
thing to practice. Yes.
right? So you could spend $20 to get a little bit of groceries, get a little bit of thing, and it would last longer instead of spending that $20 for one plate of food.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Do the cooking.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and another important thing is that we need to know that when a man finds Christ, he finds life.
Amen.
Oh,
It's
yes.
Jesus that makes the difference.
That's
When a
right.
boy finds Christ or a teenager finds Christ, he finds life. The true meaning to life. I just
That's
wanted to
right.
end on this note.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Well, that is where it should all begin. The
Yes.
relationship with Christ. If you
Yeah.
once you're grounded and rooted in Him, everything else will flow from that. You understand the importance of healthy. Your spiritual life is healthy. Your physical life is healthy. All around you are healthy.
You are alive.
Yes.
Life, yeah.
Without Christ, you're dead. Trust me.
That's it.
Without Christ, you're dead.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
When
See
you
things
have Christ
different.
in your life, you are alive. You see things differently.
Different.
You,
Yeah.
you deal with people differently. You could
That's right.
function differently.
That's right.
And I mean, let me tell you, the boast I have is not of myself, but of what God has done for me as an
Amen.
individual.
Amen. Amen. Well, in the new year, hopefully, we'll have something, but I can't say it yet. But we work on something for men. We need
Yes.
men need
Yes,
men.
yes,
Some attention.
Men need men.
Men need.
Yes,
You know, you
each
have a lot
other.
of women's groups and
Yeah.
so women,
Men
helping
need-
out women, but the
Yeah.
men groups are lacking.
So
How can men build up
Mr. P, I'll
men,
call you. I will
encourage
call you.
men?
I will call you, Mr. P. I will call you.
yes. I too are being stirred
Yeah.
to create like an NGO for men,
For men.
so that with a Christian
Yeah.
foundation,
That's
Right.
right. So I'll call you.
with a Christian foundation, so we could propel men forward.
So next time we have in our program, you'll be us men talking and not us mixing with women.
I agree. I agree.
No problem.
So our
I
perspective.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. At times you need to have
We have
mixed
no- we
perspective,
have
but
no
what we
problem.
saying is that
I understand.
We
I
support you
understand.
100%.
Yes, I
men
understand.
need men,
Yes,
and we
yes.
really
Yes.
need to have
Yes.
hope for men.
Yes.
Hope for
Indeed.
men.
But it's true. Men
Yeah.
need to hear the voices of men,
That's right.
backing them and understanding that, I go through difficulties too. I
Yeah,
go through problems.
yeah.
When they hear it from men,
Yes.
they would listen. They
That's
would
right.
listen. And
A
that's how
lot of times women feel that
Yes.
they know, and
Yeah.
sometimes they just don't.
we don't quite understand it the way men would.
They just don't. I mean, when a
Yes.
man tell you that I go through this and I go through that,
Right.
and I was able to overcome it
Yeah.
It's
using this or organizing that, fine.
different.
Yeah.
The other man would say, okay, well, I'm going through the same thing. I never saw it this way, or I never saw it that way. And if you could make it, I could make it too.
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
That's right.
So there is hope for men.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Right.
oh yes. As long as God is alive, there is hope for me.
Oh yes.
So Mr. P, I'll get your number and we'll speak.
Yes, well, I think Adonna has
Yeah.
my
Right.
number. So
Yeah.
my
Right.
number is available to anybody who asks.
Okay.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it was so nice having you. Thank you so much for sharing our wealth and
Man, the
knowledge.
pleasure was mine. The pleasure was mine.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Thank you again to my husband for also joining
Yes.
us this afternoon.
Blessing.
Yes, the real presence will mean a lot of difference.
Yeah. I was coming to drop the wife to the studio today, and I said, I don't know. I feel like I want to be
Had
an
to stay.
Yeah.
Trust me, it was
Welcome.
good having you.
Praise the Lord, man. I'm
Yeah, it was
here.
good having you. It was
As
good
my
having you.
partner, as my partner saying something, they work on the comment and we scroll up a bit and see what my partner say earlier on, boy.
He say you missing.
Woke up the first comment there.
He
The
did,
sun
he
right
did.
here. Yeah, my partner
He's
say.
saying the shadows today.
I wish my partner was here, but
Yeah.
I know my partner is in the shadows today. So.
All right. So thank you again, Mr. Pierre. It has been a
Again,
pleasure.
the pleasure is mine. The pleasure is
All
mine.
right.
Always mine.
And blessings to you and your family. Thanks for
Thank you
joining
so
us
much.
on Team
Thank
Family.
you so much. Okay, thank you.
Have a
And
good
goodbye.
afternoon.
Have a blessed one.
All right.
Yes.
Amen.
All the best for
Bye-bye.
the season.
Thanks.
Yes.
All
And
right.
same to you. And same to you.
Don't eat too much red meat for the season.
not too
Try
much
to,
red
No,
try to
I'm at an age where I'm trying to temper the things down a little bit.
That's right. That's right.
Nice.
You know, that's right.
Temper the
All
things
right,
down a
brother.
little bit. Yes, man. All the best.
You take care.
Blessings. Blessings.
All right. And again, thank you to all those of you who joined us this afternoon. Sister Donna and I would like to wish you a happy Christ-filled Christmas. I think this might just be the last
Yes,
team
team.
family we have
Because
for
for
the year.
Yeah, because everything falling on a Sunday.
Yes, we have our social next week.
Yeah.
Hope has our social
Yeah.
next week, and we have a couple of things coming up.
Yeah, and
So-
Christmas Day is a Sunday, and
Christmas
New
is
Year's
a
Day,
Sunday. Oh, yeah.
and
Look
New
at
Year's
that.
Day is a Sunday.
Sunday.
So yeah, so you want to
So,
spend time with
guys.
family.
Oh,
Yes,
y'all made it to 2022. Praise the Lord.
yes.
It has been an awesome year.
Oh yes.
I think y'all did well
Oh yeah.
during the year.
Yeah, we
I've
tried.
seen growth. You tried very well.
Okay.
I want to be the first person to tell y'all that y'all did an awesome job.
Okay, great.
Two of
Thank you
y'all
so
did a
much.
splendid job. All right.
All right.
And you had so many exciting programs throughout the year.
oh, yes.
I believe people they were inspired.
Mhm.
I remember one of our events, someone said, I just listened to your program. I like
Yeah.
you. So it means that people out there are feeling the vibe, so to speak, in our
Yes.
local
They're
terms. Yeah.
progressing and they're
Yeah.
they're actually gaining something from what we're saying
Mhm.
and sharing. And God be praised for
So
all of that.
2023 seems going to be a much better year. All right.
In
So
Jesus' name.
You
Keep-
trust in
keep-
God that everything's
Yeah.
continuing to
Oh
go.
yes.
so
To
all the
grow.
listeners out there, keep Team Family in prayer.
Yes.
Keep us in your prayer.
Hope
Hope.
FM. Hope.
We crave your
Yes.
prayer.
Oh yes.
It's not easy to do these programs. It's sacrificial.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I believe God has chosen us for a time like this. So keep up the good job, folks.
Oh yes.
All right.
And again, Merry Christmas from us, from Team
Yes.
Family.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Enjoy the season, and make sure
Yes.
it's filled with
Make
Christ.
sure it's filled. It's totally filled
It's
with
all about
Christ.
him.
All
Yeah.
about him.
You have a WhatsApp message.
Yes.
You want to see what it is?
Okay, all right. So we have a message before we leave. Let me just check on the message. All right. Somebody's saying, great program, guys. So thank you again. I've been loving it. Me go to the station.
It's
Keep
my
up the
go-to
great.
station,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, my go-to station.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely comment and for all the encouragement and for all those of you who joined us throughout the year, all the persons who were on all the time, even those of you who came on and maybe visited once or twice, we
Yeah.
appreciated your presence, your
Definitely.
comments, your questions, everything. Blessings on you all. And again, from Team Family, myself and Adonna and the whole Hope family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
And all the
Yeah.
best in 2023.
Blessings,
Amen.
guys.
Hey, you can't touch me. Lucifer, you can't touch me. Furthermore, take your filthy hands off me, family. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. The blood of Jesus over your family. Plead the blood over your family. This is what to pray and say in the morning. Warfare time when you're under the blood. Them demons will shake and tremble. Satan is a hold that he keeps, so we mash up your plans with all